everybody. Welcome once again to everybody's favorite day of the week. We're talking day 4 with Frank Scalish. Frank, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing really good. I'm a little behind schedule today.
That's all right.
You know,
it's all good.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. The morning got away from me.
It's all being busy, man. You're a busy man.
I was like multitasking this morning, getting some props ready for today's show while I was cooking breakfast, which is
very nice.
Which is a dangerous game when you got to run up and down the steps and dive through tackle. I had a specific, and we'll get into it later, but I had a specific bait in mind, and it's raining like a monsoon out there, and they're in my boat, and the boat's covered, and I'm like, no. No.
Not good. Not good if you're trying to stay dry.
Mm-mm.
Not going to help that cause.
No. And I just got all my boat all dried out from Lake Erie Adventures the other day. So
yeah. Here, I'm going to throw this up. We've got some stuff we're going to get into first, but I got to throw this comment up. Uncle Frank, I caught my first Carolina rigfish Monday.
Outstanding. You know, I get a lot of DMs like that. Only the guys are actually blasting them on it, which is fantastic. It's great. I mean, it's just great.
That's good stuff. All right, what are we going to talk about today, Frank? Don't get into it yet because I got some stuff that I have questions.
Okay, well that's perfect because two things. A gentleman, and I will mention first name, no last name. A gentleman by the name of Brandon wants me to go over what are inside turns and swings. So I'm going to really briefly touch on that with maps. So those of you who are not familiar with what an inside turn or a swing is on structure, you're going to know it emphatically in about 3 minutes of my speaking. And then the other thing I'm going to cover tonight is today. Yeah. The other thing I'm going to cover is nighttime bass fishing. I've had a lot of requests for this, especially from guys below the Mason-Dixon where it's 100 degrees out there in the day, and they do a lot of night fishing over there. So we're gonna dive into a little bit of night fishing, that's. And
we might take some phone calls too. We're going to take
yeah. Oh yeah, I want phone calls. I'm frazzled, man. I'm like behind. Like normally, I'm so super prepared. It's sickening, and I'm just like teetering on the ledge.
No, you're not.
I know.
It's all good. Obviously, the Open getting underway today at Oneida Lake. Bass Track, not really that dependable for the Opens.
No, it's not.
Spike Stoker leading right now. What a great name.
That's a good name, especially if you're like in a punk rock band.
I know. Spike or a surfer, That's another one.
That's right, or a surfer. Hey, dude.
Spike Stoker, one of the greatest names in bass fishing. All right, dude, I'm going to throw this up on the screen to where you can see it and other people can see it too. Let's see here. There it is.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Now that is from the Ken Duke show on Monday. And Ken had this book about the Ohio River. And he said, you did the graphic there. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I did. I did them for Mark Hicks wrote those books.
Yes.
He wrote Ohio River Bass, and I did all the illustrations for that. He wrote a smallmouth, Great Lakes smallmouth book. I did all the illustrations for that. He wrote the Bass Fisherman Bible. I did all the illustrations for that. I got illustrations everywhere. I used to do illustrations for Bassmaster magazine.
Really?
Yes, I did. And if I could somehow share my screen, I could show you one that ran a handful of Julys ago. Punch-in illustration with I drew a bass underneath a mat of water chestnuts and the lure punching through it. It was done in Bassin times.
Okay, now how about this one? Hang on here. Who is that guy?
Look
Who
at those.
is that guy?
Look at those glasses, dude.
Oh
What the
my
heck?
gosh, dude! What year was that? Do you remember?
I don't remember, but you're killing me, man.
Oh man, you are styling and profiling in that,
Yeah.
man.
Oh yeah, you're killing me, Small. Look, I had hair. I just want you guys to know something. I had hair.
Oh my gosh.
I used to tell my kids my hair fell out because my bass boats were so fast, and then they were afraid to go fast in the boat.
when Duke flashed that on the show, I lost it, man. It was hilarious.
God love him. I mean, you gotta love that guy. He is just spectacular, man.
Okay, now there's something else that we wanted to see. I actually had an email, and dang it, I did not print it off. Hang on, let's see if I can get it going here again. Okay. I don't know how well you can see this, but we'll see here. Okay, that's the actual book. Do you remember who was on the cover? Do you know who that is?
I think it's Bob Troxel.
Okay, because, dang it, I printed it off. I had an email. I'll see if I can pull it up real quick. But is there anything you can remember about doing that book with Mark Hicks? Did you help him on it? Did you do some of the stuff? What's the scoop on that?
Yeah, we talked about a lot of different things. I had some fingers in most of the bass stuff. Not most of the bass stuff, but some of the bass fishing on the Ohio. I didn't do the crappie piece. I just illustrated the stuff for crappie. And I didn't do any of the sauger and walleye stuff. I just illustrated them, but I did some of the bass stuff. You know, Mark interviewed a handful of guys. I mean, he didn't interview just one guy. When he wrote those books, he interviewed tons of people. So he would get, you know, through sheer volume of information, he would get an accurate assessment of really what goes on that river. Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to find this. I'm having to quickly peruse through. Jerry, and I think Jerry's from Ohio, longtime BTL fan, says that it's Gary Brown.
Oh, it could be. The picture to me is fuzzy. I mean,
it is a little fuzzy.
I could run down and dig through some of my archives and find some of those books, but I'm not doing that.
I just thought the picture of you was priceless, man.
Yeah. No kidding.
That's really good stuff.
There's a lot of them out there.
I'm sure there are.
Which is fantastic, actually.
Yeah. So kudos to Ken for bringing that to the show.
I loved it, man. How did that come up anyway?
Somebody asked a question about the Ohio River, and Ken happened to have that book there. And I said, "What is it? 2 pages?"
Oh no, no. You know, the Ohio River is very cyclical. You know, back in the old days, we had in the northern pools. Well, and actually in all the pools between locks, we had a fantastic spotted bass fishery, and that's the only place really where you could catch spotted bass and decent sized ones, you know, 2 pounds, 2.5 pounders, like little footballs.
Yeah.
And then we had areas that would get grass beds, and the largemouth fishing would be fantastic. And of course, up the creeks, especially in the springtime, the largemouth fishing would be fantastic. What's happened over the course of time is some of the bigger creeks there silted in and became not as prevalent to fish in. So the main river started fishing a little bit better. And then little by little, the smallmouth started creeping in, and the spotted bass started waning a little bit, and the smallmouth fishery became fairly good. But it's cyclical. I mean, I've seen it where for 2 years it's fishing like a place you'd want to go all the time, to if you catch 4 keepers, you probably fish for a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just a weird fishery. I'll tell you one weird story, and I'm using the word weird a lot. I'll tell you one strange story. I was fishing one of the pools that skirted up against West Virginia, and I was fishing a washout where the water comes off they call them mountains, but they're not mountains. They're just huge monster hills. But where the water comes off of one of the mountains and washes into the river, and they make these sandbars where the washouts are.
Okay.
And those sandbars, especially if the water's pushing, can be fantastic, patterns while the water's pushing. So I was fishing these things, and I was catching good fish. I was throwing a Cordell Big O C77 in size, and back in the day, it was a color called G finish, which was really wild. It was painted with that reflective material like on street signs. And so it was a really wild color, and it was shady looking, but it reflected a lot of light. So anyhow, dude, I see about a 24-inch rainbow trout.
What?
Yeah, swimming around there. And if you know anything about the Ohio River, it's a slow moving. I don't want to call it a cesspool. It's not a cesspool, but it's not what you would think of trout water. It's in fact, it's the complete opposite. You would think more catfish than a trout. So I saw this trout swimming around in there, and I went, "Oh, man, you poor bastard, you are in the wrong. You got lost."
Got lost.
He got lost, man. I think what happened was he came out of one of the feeder streams, and then the water dropped, and he couldn't get back up the stream. Couldn't get back in the feeder stream.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. There has been a request for me to show an 80s picture of me.
Are you spiked out?
No, I got a couple. I don't really have anything handy. I'm going to pull up a couple and get a little taste. Hang on here. What's the largest 5-fish limit that you've weighed in on the Ohio River? Do you remember?
I don't. It's been a while ago. I could tell you my biggest 5-fish limit. I was taking some buyers for a sporting goods store out, and they had a flood. And I mean, when I say a flood, I mean it was flooded. Like, we shouldn't have even went out. And I went out, and I said, the only thing we're going to do is jump behind one of the locks because we're not running this river.
Yeah. And
we wound up cranking deep wears, and Rebel makes a deep diving crayfish, the deep wee craw and the deep craw. Yeah. We were throwing those, and honest to God, dude, it looked like we were fishing on Lake Erie. I mean, we had probably a 19-pound limit of smallmouth, and we caught probably 25 or 30 of them. They just piled behind the lock with the current so strong and everything. They just piled behind the lock, and all we did was go up and down the riprap for a couple hours.
Yeah,
it was the coolest thing ever. But I mean, there's some cool patterns that happen on the Ohio River, and I think like October, November. I remember way back in the day, I qualified for Redman Regional, fishing jig and spoons and Carolina rigs in October, end of October, in the creek mouths where they dump into the main river. The bass winter in those areas because they can stay out of the main current, so they winter in those areas. And I caught them good. I mean, real good, and qualified for one of the regionals through that. It was a really exciting pattern for me because we never had tournaments late enough in the year for that to materialize, and we finally did, and I capitalized on it.
Nice. All right, here. Don't laugh too hard at this. I actually have two of them. Let's see here. Here's the first one. Okay, I had somebody actually send this to me that still had a copy. The date on it, Friday, July 24th, 1981.
Holy smokes.
Can you tell what concert shirt that is that I'm wearing?
I can't see that.
It was the Cars. Back when they came out with their very first album. I think it was in the 1981. And then that was my coach, and I've talked about Bob Manus on this show numerous times. What a inspiration he was for me. And that was actually my last day in California, Frank.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, the last day I was there, I shot 300 and made the California Kegler.
Good for you.
And then, let's see, I'll see if I can pull up this. Dude, I was tall and skinny and not very good looking.
I had a similar issue. I was like 5'11" and weighed 155 pounds. I look like a praying mantis.
Did you really?
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, I didn't really have my growth spurt until after high school or late in my senior year. And then I went to college and came back from college at 196.
Okay, now check this one out. And I'll give something if somebody on the comments can guess what brand shirt that I am wearing. And it's not Nike, okay? So let's see if I can pull this up here.
I'm going to guess.
Look at that. No, I'm not the guy on the right. I'm the guy on the left, okay?
He's the guy under Valley. We got to do this for people that don't know their left and right. He's the one under Valley.
Yeah. This was no, it's not Lacoste. This was the #1 junior tour in California, and that was the first time I ever made the finals. And that guy went on to be a PBA touring pro, won PBA titles. His name was Eric Forkel. Dude, he absolutely crushed me in the championship match.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah. No, it's not Russell. No, it's not Izod.
Oh, I was just going to say Izod.
No, not Izod.
It's not Adidas.
Here, I'll give you a hint.
I know what it is. It's Puma.
No, it's not Puma.
Oh, man.
It was a West Coast thing, and I'll give some people a hint out there. Their logo consisted of 2 feet. Does anybody know?
Tap Dancers of America.
Kmart. No, it's not Kmart.
2 feet. 2 feet. 2 feet on that? Who stole it and ran?
No, I don't even think they're in business. I think they've been out of business forever. But
I would imagine when you put 2 feet as a logo.
Yeah, but it was huge. There he is. Man on a Mission Studios got it. Hang 10 was the brand.
Oh, California surfing. Holy crud.
Hang
or
10.
Skateboarding.
Yeah.
Oh,
so, Man on a Mission Studios, shoot me an email, mark@basszone.com. I'm going to throw something your way for getting that. And Robert Danielson, Ocean Pacific, that was huge too when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Hang 10 and Ocean Pacific. That's how I rolled. But yeah, did you see the hair?
Oh, dude, you're kind of making me upset now. You know what I mean?
I'm not trying to do that. Okay.
I had hair too, bud. I had hair down to my shoulders, mullet style, earring, the whole 9 yards when I was a young rebel. Without a cause.
So there's some entertainment right there. But no, thank you, Ken Duke, for pulling that book up. That's what got that whole segment going there. But
I wanted to call in.
What? During Ken's show?
Yeah, I wanted to call in, but you wouldn't recognize the number, so because my name won't come up. Just the phone number comes up, right?
Hang on. Monero, you said hang 10 before Man in a Mission? All right, send me your address. I'm going to send both of you something.
Yeah, you have to send them both something now.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I was trying to multitask there. I just missed it, man. I'm sorry. So if you said hang 10 before Man on a Mission Studios, I think that's what it was, I will take care of you.
Perfect. You're a gentleman.
I just, try to take care of everybody.
Yes.
When I can. Anyway, all right, man, let's get into this fishing at night thing. Now,
well, but first I got to show you the inside turns and swings.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Because this is very, very important. Look, at the inside turns and swings are not only important when you're structure fishing.
Yeah.
They're equally as important when you're fishing grass lakes, because these are areas that are high percentage concentration spots for bass. So I'm going to just pull an old map that we used once before.
Okay.
And I'm going to try this.
Hang on, I got to blow it up.
That's okay.
All right, there we go.
I'm going to have to turn it the right way, even though it doesn't matter. Nobody knows. Okay, where's my hand going? Woo! Okay, that right there is an inside turn. The creek channel swings around. Whoop, wrong way. God bless it. Swings around and makes a C over here. So this spot right here where my finger's moving is an inside swing. This spot over here is another inside swing. If you come down to here, whoa, that spot, hold on, right there is an inside swing. Okay, same thing. If you see where I have the highlighted marks, there's another inside swing.
Right.
Those are inside swings. All right.
All right.
So that's what you're looking for on your structure. Now this spot over here is it's just a high spot. It's an extension of this point with a small saddle in between and a high spot. Conversely, that over here would be an inside swing, but for my liking, the contour lines are way too far apart and it doesn't get shallow enough on top. So anyhow, so that's kind of what you're looking for on inside swings.
Very cool.
So if you're in a grass lake, okay, let me see something here. Maybe I got an old drawing I did that I can show you. If you're in a grass lake, and I might not have it, so
okay,
don't worry about it.
We're standing by.
Okay, I have it. Okay, so if you're on a grass lake, you're still looking at contours, right? You're still looking at structure. That's the inside swing right there.
Yes.
You see the contour lines get tight. You got a high spot over here. That's the inside swing. This down here is another swing, but it's a gradual break. Okay? It's a gradual one. So those are inside swings. So inside swings can happen on points, river channels, all of that. And so what you're looking for is those little S turns, and you want to fish where the current scraps up against the side of it, because that usually clears away all the muck and stuff, and you have a hard bottom spot over there. It's a good way if you're looking at a map and you're on a reservoir and you know that from time to time they run water through the system, like in the winter drawdowns or high spring rains when the lakes flood and they rip the water through the system. Those inside swings get the current smashing into them, and so it cleans it off. So you're usually hard bottom areas. That's why when I talk about hard bottom and rock areas all the time, looking at those inside swings makes it fairly easy to find them, because that's where the most of the current's smashing over the stuff.
All right, here. Pete has a question here. Frank, on that drawing, does it matter which way the current flows in the creek channel? Well,
yeah, it will matter. You got to picture it like it's a river, and whichever way the current's hitting that structure is where it's going to clean it off the most. Now, it'll clean off the high spots too, because it'll run over the high spots and it'll clean off the high spots. Usually the eddy areas will be a flatter taper, and that's where most of that gunk is going to start to build up and silt in. So you're going to have specific hard spots along these river channel ledges and or main lake points.
All right. Some of the people are confused with the whole inside swing, outside swing. What's the difference?
All right. Let's see. My current on this particular map is going. Okay, so my current on this map is going. I'm looking at a portion of a lake, and I can't remember. exactly how it's going. Okay, my current in this is going this way.
All right.
So this would be the inside swing. This would be the outside swing up here. Because the current's going
that way.
That way.
Yep.
So the current's going to hit. You see the current is going to hit right here. So I can almost bet you, and I've never been on this body of water over here. I can bet you dollars to a donut that's rock. I can bet you dollars to a donut that's rock, and I can bet you that's rock. Whoa, yeah. Over here. You know how hard this is without being able to see this?
Oh, yeah.
So that's the difference. Inside is on the inside. Outside is on the outside.
Hey, I have a solution for next time we do this, because your artwork is fantastic. All right. All you do, here's how we're going to fix it in the future, Frank. All you do is take a picture with your phone of your artwork.
Oh, and send it to you.
And send it to me.
Oh,
and
there
then
you go.
I can just do the arrow thing like what we do in the locker room.
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
Yeah. Because somebody came up with a great idea. They said, Mark, you need to auction off Frank's drawings on the marathon show. And if Frank doesn't want the money, take all the money that's raised and put it toward the scholarship program. So are you willing to do that?
Yeah, but the drawings are garbage, guys.
Dude, they're not.
They are too.
They're vintage. They're vintage, but they have to be signed. You have to sign them. It brings the value up.
I have something here. It's just out of reach. Can I just get up?
Yeah. Heck yeah, we want to see it.
Yeah.
All right, what is Frank going to get? It's got to be a drawing of something. Folks, I'm trying to get these drawings in your hands. I'm doing everything I can to convince Frank that these drawings are priceless.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to tell you. To my knowledge, this is the only one left.
Oh.
Back in the day, I did a coloring book for Triton. And this was the front cover. All right?
Wow.
And so what I did was I made it like it was an unfinished illustration. All right?
Okay.
This was for children that came to the Bassmaster Classic. And this was done in 03. See, look, it's even dated. 03. Oh, yeah, 03.
Oh, Frank A. Scalish.
That's right. That's right. And I don't want to tell you what the A stands for. So easy does it, Tiger.
Right. Yeah,
so in this book, I did illustrations that kids could color.
Yeah, like, I remember this. This.
Oh, yeah, dude, straight up.
That's fantastic.
So in each, and there's a lot of things in this book. It's the only copy that I have. And
wow.
It's the only copy that I have. And currently, and to my knowledge, it's the only copy in existence right now. So take that, Ken Duke.
He's probably watching.
He probably has one.
Oh, I got to find out if he has one.
Okay.
Dude, that is amazing right there. That is really, really good.
This coloring book has been wrapped in plastic and zippered shut. Now this isn't a coloring book. This is just a cover I did for for a walleye tournament on Lake Erie.
Wow.
So at any rate, I will be willing. Oh gosh,
dude, you can't give that up. No, I'm not going to let you give that up, especially if it's the only one.
It is the only one.
Yeah, no, it's not. Your drawings are not garbage. I don't know where you're getting that from.
No, not this drawing.
No, those other ones, dude. They want those drawings,
dude. They're scribbles on notebook paper.
They're priceless. priceless.
You could do whatever you want with them. I don't want a nickel from them. You just put the money in the scholarship fund. I don't care.
There we have it. There we have it.
I have cornhole boards that I made too. Bass jumping out of the water. This is so funny. The largemouth that you saw in the picture I showed you going around the trolling motor.
Yeah.
And the cabbage grass getting cut up by the blade.
Yeah.
And the smallmouth jumping. I made cornhole boards out of those. I painted them on the cornhole boards. So my brother owned a body shop. And I'm like, hey, dude, you got to clear coat this for me. And clear coat it with like a matte finish so the bags don't fly off of them. So my brother didn't understand exactly what my mindset was with these cornhole boards, but you can't have it so the bag touches the board and goes flying off the board. It's got to have some grit to it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I wanted a matte coated clear coat. He thought he was doing me a favor, and he put like 32 coats of clear on these things. Dude, if your bag hits the bottom of the board, it goes like 30 feet off the board.
My gosh.
I mean, yeah, he did a fantastic job. I got them hanging up in my basement because I can't play on them. You know what I mean? The only way you can play on those boards is to get it in the hole every time. Because if you don't, the bags go right off the board.
Yeah.
Made it really.
No, I was just going to say it was like an ice rink. Somebody made the comment that it was like an ice rink.
Yeah, 100%. But they made good practice boards because you had to be right there all the time. So it made really good practice boards. And that was when I used to play all the time, and I haven't played in 10 years. No.
That long? No.
Yeah, swear.
Really?
Yeah, swear. The most fun, I used to do these tournament benefits, cornhole, for the kids' schools when all my kids were in school and for the churches and stuff. And we used to we'd get 150 teams in there, and we'd round robin. And my buddy and I used to play, and there was two guys, a father-son team that was unbeatable. And actually there was a third team. So it was between them, us, and the third team, and we had to play the best team first in one of those tournaments, and we got blown out, dude. I'm like, we didn't even get through the first game. You know what I mean? And I said, no way. So we got to go to the losers bracket and then fight our way up through the losers bracket. So we go to the losers bracket and we fight our way all the way back up to the top three. So we're in the top three finals.
Yeah.
Dude, we didn't get out of the school until 3:30 in the morning. And we wound up in third.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. We had it was brutal. It was so brutal.
Wow.
And I mean, it's a benefit for the school. So adult beverages are flowing freely, and they're raising tons of money for the school, and everybody's having a good time. And by 3:30 in the morning, I was lucky to hit the stupid board.
Wow. Yeah. All right. Before we get into the night stuff, let's address a couple of questions on here. Jim says, ask Frank, Tom Southwood Bassmaster Open, winner on Ohio River, 1993 or 83. I'm sorry. 5. Do you recall this at all?
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, you guys got to forgive me. I've fished an awful lot of tournaments between then and now, and met thousands and thousands of people. I have, like, it's so here to put it in perspective. It's like this. When I would do a seminar, there'd be 250, 300 people in the crowd. I'm looking at 300 guys. I'm talking to tons of people after the seminar. You guys are talking to one guy, me. So it's easier for you to remember me than me remember you, just out of sheer numbers of people. And I do this across the United States. Yeah. So I'm meeting people in Tennessee and Texas and, wherever I'm at. And I've had people come up to me and go, "Oh man, I saw your seminar. That was great. Oh my gosh." And I'd be like, "Yeah, which seminar? You know what I mean? Which one?" And they would go, "Oh, remember when you were in New York at Auburn? I mean, not Auburn, Albany." I go, "Oh, that was the Bass Institute." "Yeah, the Bass Institute." I go, "Oh my gosh, there's just no way I could remember all that."
Yeah.
So I apologize.
All right, here we go. Next one. Frank, how do you approach the in and out swings? Do you prefer fishing up current or down current?
Okay, I always have my boat facing into the current unless the wind's blowing the opposite way and there's no way to have boat control. But you have to remember, if the wind blows the opposite way of the current, it stalls the current. So the fish now will probably start to suspend off of that stuff because there's no reason for them to suck onto it because there's no more current or very, very, very little current. So I always try to work into it. Now, there are occasions when once I pass the structural element, I will turn around and reverse fish it, from the front of the boat casting backwards, because sometimes that change in angle will trigger extra bites that I didn't get the first time around. So I will often change my angle, my casting angle, but I always approach them into the current so I have boat control. Because to me, boat control is more critical than anything because I can always turn around and change my cast direction. You follow me? Boat control is critical.
All right. Good stuff there. Hey, by the way, here's another freelance thing that you can do. Let me throw this up. Need Frank to design a smallmouth tattoo for me. Sheesh, that is awesome artwork. That's what the middle A stands for.
Artwork?
Frank? No, awesome.
Oh, okay, awesome. I was going to say something else,
Yeah.
But I won't.
No, you want to hook the dude up with a smallmouth tattoo there, Frank?
I can probably give you a template that your artist can use, and then he could fill in the color schemes.
There you go.
DM me on Instagram, Scalish_fishing, and now I'm going to be a tattoo artist.
Frank does it all, folks.
I wanted a tattoo of a smallmouth really bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm petrified that I'm not going to get the illustration the way I want it.
Yeah.
And I'm not putting something on my body that I can't take off. Because you can't erase it. I mean, once it's on, and there's
you can, but it costs a lot of money.
I'm not playing that game, dude. I'm just not playing that game, and it's unfortunate because my kids, two of my boys are in the military. My other boys, college baseball. So, the tattoo thing became a little more prevalent than I wanted it to be. And not that I'm against it. I'm not. There's a tattoo artist that I would get a tattoo from tomorrow, but he's super famous. And I don't have that kind of money to put some drawing on me.
Well,
so I'm not doing it.
You're really, really, really good. So don't underestimate the value of your artwork. All right, because it's good stuff, and people want those drawings. So we are definitely going to set something up for the marathon show to where folks can actually bid and make a donation to my scholarship fund or the BTL scholarship fund for 2022.
I will do that for the scholarship fund.
Okay.
I will.
We're not taking the Triton coloring book or whatever it was. We're not, dude, that's the only one. I am gonna talk to Ken Duke to see if he has one. Because if anybody has one, he will.
Yeah, I mean, I have scoured the planet to find these. Yeah. And I can't find them. And we printed hundreds of thousands of them for the Classic back in 2003.
Yeah.
And I sat in a Triton booth signing them and giving them out. And I had about 9 or 10 for myself that I stuffed away. And over the course of time, I probably had given some away to some people that wanted them. And then I realized that I'm like, holy smokes, I don't have any coloring books. And then I remembered that I had sealed one up and stashed it. And I found it. And I was like, oh, thank God. I have it.
Well, it's great stuff. All right, Frank, I've received a couple requests. It is summertime. A lot of nighttime fishing takes place across the country right now. And several of the BTL fans want some tips, want some direction on what to do fishing at night. And I'll be honest, I've only fished at night maybe 10 times, and I think the best thing I ever caught was a blue heron. I mean,
you could tie some great flies with a blue heron.
I'm sure I could, but it didn't help the cause. Yeah,
it's illegal, but heck, man, you can make some big streamers with those chin feathers.
Yeah.
Okay, so here, let me first explain something about night fishing. You will feel as though you're on a completely different body of water because the night bite is absolutely off the hook. It is the best fishing that the lake will offer you is night fishing, especially in the summer. Here's what happens. So I got to explain a few things before we get into this. Okay, so here's what happens. Everybody goes, you got to get out for the morning bite. The morning bite's the best. And people say, you got to get out for the evening bite. The evening bite's the best. And there's a lot of truth to that. But here's why the truth is there. You have a faction of fish in the summertime, especially, that feed at night. As in the morning, you've got those night feeders coming off, and then you've got your day feeders coming on. So early in the morning, you have an overlap of fish in certain areas. You have way more fish in a certain area. So the fishing is better in the morning. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing goes on in the evening. You've got your day feeders coming off the feed and your night feeders coming on the feed. And you have more fish in an area, more feeders. There's just more fish, so the fishing is better. But nighttime fishing, if your lake is a good lake during the day, it's 10 times better at night. I used to night fish all the time until we started having babies, and then I'd get home at 6:30 in the morning after fishing from 8 o'clock at night until 6:30 in the morning, and then my wife's frazzled because she was up with the kids, and then she's like, "You got to deal with the kids. I got to rest." And then I would come home and I'd be like, you know what I mean? And then I have to spend all day with my kids. So I quit night fishing because it was too hard on me. I never slept. And so here's what I'm going to tell you. There's only a handful of baits that I throw at night. That doesn't make it right or wrong. I'm just simplifying this because it's very simple. So the first thing I have is a 1/2 ounce spinnerbait, black nickel blades, black and blue skirt, or a black skirt. What I like, I really like the Covert series, the nighttime series. That was recently just created, and that spinnerbait's fantastic because the way the head design is it won't roll on you, but they got big thumping blades on them, and so the bait really thumps hard. I have to show you how to rig it. I have a Booyah black nickel bladed night spinnerbait because I was going to go in the boat this morning and that's what I was talking about earlier. I was going to go get my coverts out, but it's pouring down rain, so I ran down the basement and grabbed my Booyah ones. So I'm going to show you the Booyah, but the Covert series, they're both good. They're both really good because obviously I used to use the Booyah one before the Covert series came out. So here's what I want to tell you, all right? So I throw the 1/2 ounce black nickel or black spinnerbait, single Colorado. I like the single Colorado better. I'll throw 10-inch worms in black or June bug or red shad. 8-inch lizards, black, June bug. I keep it real simple. And a buzzbait, black. Now on the buzzbait, I like black with the gold blade. Now, I have friends of mine that night fish too, and they will throw standard, regular stuff that they fish during the day and catch fish as well. But my success on the dark colors at night has proven to me that you don't need a wide array of colors for night fishing. dark, dark, dark colors. And here's why, especially on the spinnerbait, because it'll silhouette over the night sky, especially if you have a clear sky. It'll silhouette over it, and they can see the silhouette. They'll see the flash from the black nickel, but it'll be dark. It'll be dark. They'll see the flash, feel the vibration. More importantly, feel the vibration. Okay. So I'm gonna show you how to rig this, and then I'll get into talking about where and how you got to fish it. So what I like to do is I'll use two types of trailers. I'll use whoops, what's going on? Wow, my computer's yelling at me.
Okay.
I'll use a black and blue twin tail grub, or a bait like the thumping dinger with a really vibrating tail on it, because what I want now is water movement. Okay, I want water movement. So what I do is I'll take the spinnerbait. Now I want to keep it a little bit bulky. This is a black and blue skirt. I want to keep it a little bit bulky. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tip the spinnerbait upside down. I'm about to make a massive mess on my desk here. But I'm doing it for the fans.
All right.
Okay, so I'll take the spinnerbait and I'll tip it upside down, and I'll get my trusty scissors out here. And what I do is you see where the R bend is on the blade? I'm going to go just behind the R bend, and I'm going to cut the top strands of the spinnerbait skirt. Now I'm doing this over a piece of paper so I could throw it out later.
Gotcha.
Okay, so see, I trimmed it. So now when I do that, I got a nice bellowed out top on the skirt. You see how it bellowed out?
Flares.
It's flares.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I'm going to take the bottom of the skirt, and I'm going to just, can you still see me?
Yes.
And I'm just going to trim it so it makes like a teardrop point at the bottom. So it kind of, oops, I got a hanging Chad. So it forms like a teardrop. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to tip the bait upside down, and I'm going to take my twin tail grub real easily. I'm just going to get it on there, and I'm going to put it on, and I'm going to shove it hard up against the skirt, really, really hard up against the skirt. So now it flares out both skirt rings. Wow. Okay. So now what's going to happen is all this stuff is going to move real freely in the water. But if you notice, I'm not hampering my twin tail grub movement because I don't have all these things that I just trimmed hanging over my grub.
Hang on a second. I want to make sure. Is it vertical or horizontal? The grub.
The grub is there it is.
Okay. It's horizontal.
Okay. Yes, flat.
Okay. Got it.
So if I was doing the thumping dinger, well, you could use the swimming dinger too. If I was doing that, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the dinger and I'm going to trim it right about to a quarter into the fat part of it. Clip it down. And here I want the tail down. I want the moving part of the tail in the down position. So the hook goes the opposite way the tail goes. Now you have to realize something. Everything in here is dark except for my little illumination lamp. So I'm having some issues with my vision here. So I'm going to thread it on real easy. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to smash it up against that skirt. I want it tight up against that skirt. So now what I got is when I hold the spinnerbait this way, the tail is the opposite way the hook goes.
Okay.
It doesn't look like it because it won't stay in one spot, but it is. Trust me. It's the opposite way the hook goes. And that's how you rig the thing. And what I like to do with this is I slow roll it. So I'll slow roll the thing, and I'm fishing shallow, dude. At night, I'm fishing shallow. So I'll slow roll it, And when I come over, like if I'm in 2-3 feet of water and I have a break line that comes down, here's a real key spot. When you're fishing shallow, you have your bank to the first drop. You got your bank to the first drop. This drop here might only be 2 feet. So you got about a foot or 2 feet drop. Oh gosh. A foot or two. Where am I going? Foot or 2 foot drop here. So you're in about 4 feet of water. I want stuff on the bottom. Rocks, wood, debris on the bottom. And right off that flat, I want a steep break, because the fish will come out here in the daytime and suspend and hang out over here, and then they'll slide up at night and feed. They don't have far to travel because the contour is steep. So all they have to do is go up to the feeding shelf. And that's the whole key. So when I come over from the bank, I'm slow rolling it on the part from the bank to the first drop. Then when I get to this drop, I'm kind of just hovering it right over, so I'm just ticking the tops of this stuff. And then I'll come out here, and then I'll reel it back into the boat. And that's what I look for at night. I'm actually concentrating on the shallow stuff. This is what the map would look like. Of course, you wouldn't see the rocks on the map, but this is what the map would look like. You'd have a tabletop here, and you'd have a tabletop here, which here is this flat, and then here would be that flat. You follow me? So
yeah. Go
ahead.
ahead, Frank. I'm sorry.
No, you go.
Well, from a boat positioning standpoint at night, is this one of those situations where you want your boat parallel to the tabletop in the deep water, and then are you attacking it straight, or are you trying to make your cast at a 45-degree angle?
I'm 45 in it, or even less, because I want the bait to spend more time on the flat. Okay. I don't parallel this stuff at night because I want to crawl it down. I want to crawl it down this ledge and crawl it through this flat. So my boat's going to be over here.
Okay.
My boat's going to be over the deep stuff. And this is one thing that I target. Now I see a lot of guys night fishing, okay, that they make a mistake because they ignore offshore stuff. And when I say offshore, it's still bank related, okay? It's still bank related. Like this is your landmass here. This is a flat that comes out. But if you notice, of course I can do this because I can put high spots wherever I want them. I have a high spot right here. So this high spot, I got it highlighted in yellow, becomes very important. This turn becomes very important. Okay, the turn becomes important because it's a high percentage spot. The fish don't have to go far to get to these little tabletops in here. Okay, and they don't have to be far from there. So this is the kind of stuff that I'll target at night also. And you'll catch, and if your lake has smallmouth in it, hold on, because it's going to be wrong on a lot of levels. Nighttime smallmouth hit a lure harder than I've ever had a fish hit lures in my life. There's a lake at home that we night fished all the time. And during the day on this lake, you're hard pressed to catch 11 or 12 pounds. Okay. We'd go out at night and we'd have 19 to 20 pound limits at night. Maybe mixed bags, largemouth and smallmouth. Freak show. So here's another thing to look for at night. Stretches of riprap. And if you're allowed to fish the riprap, like a lot of reservoirs have riprap along where the earth dam is, and then where the spillway is, they have it buoyed off. You're not allowed to fish the spillway. So you can fish the riprap on the earthen dam. Okay. Ludicrous. It's ludicrous, the fish you catch at night. So, you know, that's part of the reason that I like night fishing so much. And that the new Covert series spinnerbait is really designed very well for this because you don't have any rollover with it, and it vibrates like mad because of the wire it's made out of. It vibrates like crazy. So I pretty much for that purpose, I pretty much got rid of most of my other night spinner baits. But here's a cool thing about the black spinner bait with the black blade and etc. They also make one with a I want to call it a red blade, but it's like a chrome red. Okay, like black nickel, red nickel. It's like a red nickel blade. Those two blade styles fish great in muddy water too. So you don't want to. It's not just for night fishing. I mean, it fishes good in muddy water too. So and I fish it the same way in dirty water, but I fish them slow. Okay, now the buzzbait, obviously everybody knows what to do with a buzzbait. Throw it in the garbage, reel it out, let it hit stuff, and bam, you know what I mean? And the cool thing about fishing a buzzbait at night is you don't miss a lot of them because you can't see the strike. Most guys miss buzzbait fish because they set the hook on sight, and the fish don't even have it yet. So when you're night fishing, you're really not setting the hook until the fish pulls back on you. And that's why at night you almost have 100% land ratio with a buzzbait because you're not messing it up. You know, we mess up our buzzbait bites.
Yeah.
Because we get so amped up, you see the fish and you're like, oh, and your buzzbait goes flying out of the water and you're like, oh, he missed it. No, he didn't miss it. He didn't get it yet. You took it from him. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so at night you don't have that problem. That's how I learned how to fish a buzzbait, by the way. There was a bunch of golf courses where I used to live, and I would sneak on at night and throw a buzzbait, and I would only go by sound and feel. So I would lose this reflex to set on sight. I would just reel it in until the fish got heavy, and then I would get them. And that's how I stopped losing buzzbait fish. My hooking percentage went way up. So that's what's going to happen to you guys when you start night fishing with buzzbaits. Your hooking percentage is going to go sky high.
Okay, Frank, what about noise on the buzzbait? How important is that at night? Louder, softer? What's the scoop?
I do it very slow retrieve, as slow as I can to keep it up. So it's going, and it squeaks. All the buzzbaits I use, they squeak, chirp. They chirp a lot. Mm-hmm. Remember the jitterbug? Arbogast, the jitterbug. The black jitterbug was the first bait that I actually started night fishing with. You can almost never fish it wrong. And the funny thing about that bait is in the pro bass world, okay, that bait doesn't get the attention it deserves. That bait is bad to the bone because you could reel it in as slow or fast as you want. And that's the key, especially at night. You throw that jitterbug out there at night and you reel it in, it just goes. That's the noise it makes. And when you reel it in,
good,
right? Because I do sound effects too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so what happens is that's a fantastic night bait, and they know it is because they make them in black. Okay, so they're not those people at Arbogast aren't dumb. They know that bait can be fished at night, and so you could reel it in as fast as you want. The faster you reel in, or super slow, and it just pop, 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 pop. That's a very overlooked bait, very overlooked. The only thing I do with that bait is I change the hooks. I add an extra split ring and change the hooks on it. Okay. To a little bit better quality hook.
All right.
But yeah.
Somebody asked about trailer hooks. Is that a good thing?
I'm not really a trailer hook guy on that sort of stuff. You can put the trailer hooks on the buzzbait, but don't forget at night you're not visibly seeing a lot of the cover that's out there. So a lot of times if you throw it into a bush top by mistake, the trailer hook, you're going to have to go get the buzzbait.
All right, I have to ask, what about a black spook at night?
Money.
Okay.
It's money, especially on grass lakes. On grass lakes, I lean hard on the Super Spook Junior and the Spook in black, of course. And I like black at night. I don't make my night fishing complicated. I never have. Like I can literally hit the lake with a shoebox full of tackle, maybe, and that's it. Because it's not complicated. The main thing is fish location. So I'm concentrating on shallower structure with deep water access nearby. Because I don't want the fish to have to travel great distances to get to that shallow feeding area. So a tail push up is easier to go than 300 yards up a gradual flat. You follow me?
Yeah. I think
that's what I look at.
Okay, I think it was Robert. Let's see here. Was it Robert? I lost my place here. He asked
my daughter's cat. Get out of here.
There's the cat again. Making another appearance.
I don't know why they keep letting her in when I'm in this room.
All right. I think it was Robert. Yes, Robert. Let me throw the deal up here. How often do you fish boat docks or marinas at night?
Well, those are always good places to fish at night. The marinas have a bigger play in the spring and towards the end of summer when the bass are starting to run shad. I still like to have my close, steep breaks so the fish that pull in, they pull right up on there. Points are great. Points and secondary points and main lake points are fantastic. High percentage nighttime areas, high percentage. And I like the flats that come off the bank, but I want contour movement to those flats, and I don't want gigantic long flats, maybe 2 casts long or a cast long. That's what I'm looking at. I want something that's within my range of a cast so the bass can't get too far in front of me.
All right. What's your opinion, thoughts, direction as far as the moon when it comes to night fishing? Is there anything? Does it matter?
I particularly don't care because nighttime fishing is better anyway. The full moon gives you the ability to see better at night. Yeah. And hey, remember this too, guys. This is night fishing. Running 60, 70 miles an hour on plane at night is just idiotic.
Yeah.
Your GPS will tell you where you are in proximity to the lake, but you won't see other people out there, and you won't see any floating debris if there is any floating debris. So take it easy at night. You want to be smart about it. But the fishing at night is astronomical. It's crazy good.
All right. Cool stuff. Very cool stuff. All right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to throw up the Sunline hotline number. Let me see if I can find it. There we go. 405-253-5543. And remember, Frank can hear your question. You just can't hear Frank. So what you have to do is you have to call in, ask your question to Frank, and then hang up and listen to his response. And you'll be able to hear his response because of the delay that takes place with the stream. So that's how we're going to do the Sunline hotline. If you want to call in, ask Frank a question. It doesn't have to be about night fishing. It can be about anything. Hey, by the way, several people want to know, can they get one of those T-shirts that you're wearing? Do they have those on LureNet?
Yeah, they actually do. Does anybody want to buy a kitten? Let's get this thing going. The auction starts now.
Oh, dude, that's your daughter's cat. You can't do that.
Well, I'm a father. I can do a lot of things.
Oh, jeez.
You can. You could get them on LureNet.
Okay.
You go into the brand, and there'll be a clothing section there, and you could get all kinds of stuff. You could get Bomber stuff, Booyah stuff, Norman. Yeah, it's really cool. They got good stuff, too. They got hoodies, everything.
All right. Doug wants to know real quick, what about a black jig with a white trailer?
Yeah, I mean, the black jig is a good bet, but I would go with a black trailer or a black and blue trailer. I kind of keep it together. I kind of keep it the same, but the contrast isn't terrible. It's not a terrible idea, but it's gonna silhouette the black much better.
All right, let's go to the phones. Hey, you're on BTL with Frank and Mark. Who is this?
Hey, this is Rusty. Hey, could Frank re-show, maybe, possibly, not today, maybe where he double line the Carolina rig when he showed with the the braided line on how he rigged the Carolina rig with the double braided line deal.
Yeah.
Did he reshow that?
I can do
I'd
a quick.
appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll do that.
How he does it.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, man.
All right, bye.
All right, you know what he's talking about, Frank?
I know 100% what he's talking about. All right, so let me get rid of all my. Hey, Rach, come here. Yeah, I'm still here. Get rid of that. There's rubber things in there, so don't throw it in the garbage disposal.
I thought you were talking about the cat. You go get rid of that.
Yeah, well, I want the cat out of there. Okay, so I'm gonna draw this now. Here, understand this. All right, we're gonna do the crane swivel. Where's my marker at? We're gonna do the crane swivel. So I'm gonna draw it kind of big so you guys get the idea.
Frank is feverishly drawing.
Feverishly drawing. Okay, so here's our crane swivel. All right, this is our main line. This is our main braided line. The line going down the page is the main braid. We already put our plastic bead on, and we already put the sinker on. So now I have this tag line hanging out right here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the tag line. I'm going to take the tag line and I'm going to pull it down so it's like that. All right. Now I'm going to make this about 10 inches long. All right. The tag line. That's this piece. Like that. Then I'm going to do an overhand knot in it. I'm going to hold the line tight and I'm going to do an overhand knot in it. So what happens is I tie my overhand knot over here and then I trim that piece off and now I've got it doubled up. So Palomar knot, like pretend you're going to tie a drop shot rig. You know how you do a Palomar knot and then leave the long tag end?
Yeah.
Going to do the same thing, and about 8 to 10 inches, I'm going to knot it, couple overhand knots right there, trim the excess off, and then what you're going to have is you're going to have your glass bead, your sinker. So now you're going to have your glass bead, the sinker, and the sinker's going to slide up and down on the double braid. That's all there is to that.
Very cool.
So what happens is it stops the abrasion resistance because here, that's the business end of this rig. That's the end that's in everything. It's in the rocks. It's in the wood. It's always dragging on the bottom. The sinker's sliding back and forth on it. So now if I'm using 50-pound braid, now I have 100 pounds of strength in that little bitty area. It's not so much the 100 pounds of strength that's important. Yeah. It's the fact that it's doubled up. So it's not going to wear as fast. And literally, I've fished that for multiple days before I had to retie. That's why I do it.
That's cool stuff.
Yeah, because I've used single braid before, and braided line is not very abrasive resistant. It's great for sensitivity. It's fantastic on the hook sets. But by doubling that up, you now have, you've now taken your system and you're minimizing things that could go wrong. Yeah. That's the whole key to the success of this, is to minimize. In fishing, every variable that you can control does two things for you. It creates more success for you and minimizes things that could go wrong.
Yeah. Hey, John, on the comments, dude, I'm not a hater. I think catching walleye is pretty cool. We actually have a couple of lakes here in Oklahoma that have walleye.
When did walleye come up? Am I missing something?
They're talking about walleye on Topwater.
Oh, dude, I did that.
That would be amazing.
No, listen to this. This is a true story. Super Spook Jr., Florida baby bass. Swear on my life. God is my judge. I'm doing a writers event on Oneida, and we had to take out so many writers per day. So I only had a few hours with each writer each day.
Yeah.
So I had gone out and pre-fished some areas so I could, and I was taking each rider to a different area because I was on different patterns in on Oneida, different patterns.
Okay.
So I had different stuff for each rider based on their geographic location or based on what story articles we wanted to accomplish. So I had a northeast or northwest rider. I think he was in Wisconsin or Minnesota area on Oneida. And I said, I got something wild going on right now. I said, you do a lot of smallmouth stuff in Wisconsin and Minnesota. And he's like, yeah, we do. I go, you want to catch walleyes on topwaters? He goes, no way. I go, watch. I run them down the lake. I go to this shallow shoal. And it was by accident that I found them. Okay. Because I was actually trying to get topwater smallies with the Super Spook Junior. And when I was practicing, I had one miss it, and I said, that's got to be a pike because their accuracy is terrible. So it's got to be a pike. And then I had another one miss it, but I saw the tail come out of the water, and I saw the white spot, and I'm like, no way. So I slowed my retrieve down, and poof, I catch a 3-pound walleye. So I let him go. I do it again. I get another one. I leave the spot. So I run this rider over there, and I go, watch this. I'm not kidding you. My first cast, I had one freaking shark the thing out of the water. And he's like, oh, my God. And I was like, and I obliterated him. And
Wow.
it was only like a 30-foot stretch of this rock pile where they were on. It was the coolest thing ever. Now, I will say this. They would miss it a lot. And then I would slow it down and tease them, and then they would get it. Mm-hmm. And so it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of action, and it was probably just a handful of fish because they missed it a lot, and I'd have to tease them to get it. But it was walleye on topwater, and I have photos. Well, I don't have them. The writer has them.
Yeah.
And he did the article on it.
That's
a
awesome.
long time ago. Yeah.
That's awesome. Cool. All right, let's do this. Let's go back to the phones. Remember, if you call in, you can't hear Frank, so you have to call in, ask your question to Frank, and then hang up and listen. So let's go to the phones now. Hey, you're on with Mark and Frank. Who is this?
Hey, this is Jack, and I'm calling from Waco, Texas. How you guys doing?
Doing good. What's your question for Frank, Jack?
Well, I just got a little deal that I figured out night fishing back probably about 15 years ago. I always fish just like Frank says he fishes, with the buzzbait and the spinnerbait and the colors. That's always been the way that I've done it. One night I was out with a buddy, and we were having a hard time catching fish. We were on Lake Travis, clear deep water lake. And I figured, I usually catch them this time of year during the day fishing deep ledges. So I strapped on a Carolina rig, put on a black lizard, and just chunked it out there on a ledge. And they were loaded up, 20, 30 feet of water. So now what I do is if I can't catch them on that buzzbait or spinnerbait, I just get on that ledge bite, and usually it works. And, I mean, you wouldn't think that they would be on a ledge in 20 to 30 feet of water in the middle of the night. But I think because it was a full moon, they were kind of acting like maybe like if the sun was out. And I just want to get his thoughts about that.
All right. Thanks for calling, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right. See you. What do you think, Frank?
Yeah, Jack, you're 100% right. I used to take DD22 crankbaits and give them black backs and gradiate the black down to the side and leave the bellies a little white on them. And we used to crank ledges at night a lot with that. 100% right. The ledge fishing deal works at night. It's a little harder for guys just starting out night fishing to fish the ledges, but you're absolutely on the money with that. Ledge fishing can be outstanding at night. I had a friend of mine from Knoxville, Tennessee, and don't do this. I'm just telling you guys not to do this. Used to take a DD22 and pop it in a microwave for a few seconds and it would blow up like a baseball. And you will ruin your microwaves. Do not do this. I'm just telling you. He did it. I didn't do it because I didn't want to ruin my microwaves. But what it does, he gave me a couple. And what it does is it makes this bait incredibly buoyant. So when you're fishing offshore stuff, 10 feet deep or less, you can get that big bulbous bait, and it just does all this goofy stuff down there. And that's what they used to do in East Tennessee on that. I ledge fished at night with regular crankbaits and caught them really good. So there's a lot of truth to what Jack is saying about the ledge bite. But for first-time night fishermen, it's very difficult. So you're much better off targeting the shallower structure, shallower cover near deep water, because you will have fish that'll move up onto it.
All right, Frank, a lot of people want to know about bladed jigs, chatterbaits, those type of baits at night. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the bladed jigs work great at night. They create a lot of vibration, slow roll them. They move a lot of water. That's a really good nighttime bait. But then again, use the ones with the black nickel blades. It's not paramount. I got a buddy of mine that fishes regular silver blades all night long, and he does pretty good. So it's not paramount. But like I said, I'll put all my tackle in a tiny shoebox and go fishing at night because you don't need a whole lot.
All right, this is an interesting question. Somebody wants to know about bug spray. Because at night, the bugs come out. If you have a light that you have on the boat, I mean, they're like magnets. They just attach to you. Do you have any recommendations? What do you do about bug spray? Is there, does the scent in the bug spray, or if you get it on you, does that matter? What's the scoop?
I don't use bug spray. Most of the time when I'm night fishing, I'm on bigger lakes. I don't have a real bug issue until I get, if you get into some pockets, yeah, because the trees and everything else, you're going to get more of a bug issue. But if you're staying mostly on the main lake, and especially if there's a little breeze at night, you won't really encounter the bugs. I don't like the bug spray. I don't want anything that smells on my lures, so I won't use it. I will wear long sleeve shirts, though.
Yeah. All right, another interesting question. How important is patience at night? In other words, do you stay and milk an area that you feel very confident that there's fish on, or is it pull up, give it 5-10 minutes, boom, if you don't catch anything, I'm on to the next one? What are your thoughts?
That's how I approach it.
Okay.
You're not begging fish to eat at night. When they're there, they're chewing. They're there for one reason and one reason only, and that's to eat. Ledge fishing's a little bit different because you got to fish the main structural element on the whole ledge. So you're going to have to fish that ledge to find out where they move to, and at night where they're relating to on that ledge. But when I'm fishing the shallower stuff, I don't play. I go in there and start casting, and if they're there, you're catching them immediately. And if not, I keep moving. I don't sit still at night.
All right. A lot of people asking about Matt. If you're looking at Bass Track for the Open, no update yet. Somebody mentioned, I don't remember who it was, typically he'll do an update around noon. That is correct. But a couple of people wanted to know, hey, did he find anything? Yeah, I talked to him, and toward the end of the final full day of practice, he found something, and it was kind of off the wall. Not a whole lot of people were doing it, so he felt pretty good about it. But the next day of practice that he had, he went out and he tried to duplicate it, and just didn't work out as well as he thought he would. But it's one of those deals, Frank. You have those tournaments where you go out and you're trying to find something, and one day you may catch 16 to 18 pounds, and then the next day you try to duplicate it in different areas, and you don't catch squat. How tough is that?
Well, it's tougher when you catch 18 or 19 pounds in practice off of one spot because you're shooting yourself in the foot for the tournament. You got to recognize what that spot's holding, and you can't sit there and catch fish in practice. That's how I play that, especially smallmouth. And the smallmouth, you got to remember something too. Smallmouth on shoals have a tendency to roam because they're running bait. So they have a tendency to roam a little bit. So you may have to just pick it apart a little to find out where they move to or how they're relating to that shoal or that structural element at the time. That's what makes smallmouth so much fun and so aggravating. because if you have to realize if your structural element is an isolated one, they probably just moved around it somewhere. Could be based on wind currents, bait movement. But if you're fishing a giant shoal that spans, because a lot of those lakes up north are formed by glaciers. So what you have is as the ice scrapes the land away, you got these flats that dip down, and then the shoals that are in the lake are really nothing more than giant glacier deposits. So the bigger the shoal or structural element you're fishing, the more chance you have to lose contact with those fish. Mm-hmm. The smaller the structural element, the easier it is to stay in contact with the fish. So that's what you have to remember with these smallmouth lakes. And grass could be important too, because I've seen them. Well, I've won a ton of money catching smallmouths out of the grass. So,
yeah. John wants to know: do you know, or have you ever heard of a Pickens blade?
No, I haven't heard of the Pickens blade, but it might be that sickle style blade. I'm not 100% sure. So I can't really articulate on that because I'm not familiar with that name of a blade.
Yeah, he said it might be a southern thing.
I mean, I know fluted blades work good at night too.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Oh, a lot of people are asking about lights. Do you put a light in the water? Does that help? I mean, what's the deal with lights? Black lights?
I use the light in the water at night crappie fishing, but I do not do it for bass fishing. Now I'll have a black light in the boat or a flashlight, and I'll put a piece of colored plastic over the lens, red or smoke, just to kill the brightness of it. And that's about all I do for light, except for my running lights when I'm idling around.
Yeah. Doug wants to know, what about a flick shake at night?
I've never done it, to be honest with you. I don't see why it wouldn't work, especially if you're using a 5 or a 6-inch dinger in black or Junebug. I don't see why it wouldn't work. It would almost have to work. It's slow fall, moving.
Yeah.
It's a little slow for my take at night.
For somebody that is going to night fish for the first time, let's say they're somewhat of a seasoned angler during the day. They fish team tournaments and all that, but they've never had the nighttime experience. What advice could you give to that person if they're going out to fish? And obviously it depends on the characteristic of the lake. And let's just say it's a normal lake with rock. It's got a few grass areas in it. It's got deep water. It's got boat docks. Just a typical Midwestern kind of southern lake. What advice would you give them, Frank?
The advice is real easy. I would use my covert nighttime spinnerbait or my Booyah nighttime spinnerbait with the black nickel blade. I'd go with a bigger worm, Junebug or black, or red shad. Keep it real simple. You don't have to get goofy with it. If you're concentrating on the bank stuff, if you fish the lake a lot, where the secondary points and the main lake points are that come out that have flatter shelves on top, shallower, that drop off close to deep water. I would keep it real simple for the first time you go out, and I would run those areas. And you can use crankbaits at night too. They work very good. Just use your dark colors. If you don't have a dark color, just spray paint it black.
Yeah. All right. Now, if you have some juice areas that you've caught a ton of fish on and do year after year during the day, are those juice areas typically going to produce at night?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Absolutely are. You'll just have more fish using them at night. And here's the thing, when you're night fishing, those fish are going to let you know immediately that they're there. There's no guesswork at night. Those fish are doing one thing and one thing only, and that's eating. It's an exciting adventure. That's all I can tell you. And if you are lucky enough to have smallmouth in that lake you're fishing, make sure you're always holding on to that fishing rod, because I have never had a smallmouth plow a spinnerbait harder than I have at night.
That's cool. I have not done it that many times, and definitely want to try and do it this time of the year. Probably a lot of people are out there at night. Safety, obviously, the number one important item when you go night fishing. So it's a fun time, and you can rail on them too, Frank.
Oh yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Sometimes at night you'll go out, and what I have found is that I usually get on the water around 8 or 9 o'clock, and somewhere between that time and 1 o'clock in the morning, it's going to go off. And when it goes off, it's the best fishing you're going to experience. You can't get impatient. Like I have left the lake at 2, 3 in the morning to go home, and I have stayed out until sunrise to go home. Because there's going to be feeding periods in the night where it's just crazy. So, you just got to, and then of course the next day's a wasted day because you're going to sleep.
Plan on it. Well, there you have it, folks. Some great stuff from Frank on night fishing. And yeah, we had a number of requests to talk about this. So glad we got it in, Frank.
Yeah, I mean, guys down, Alabama guys and guys in Tennessee and stuff, they have lights on their boat, front of their boat, for running at night. Yeah. I don't recommend running at night. I just don't. I mean, there's too many things in the water that could go wrong. So I don't really run hard at night, ever. Now, I've been night fishing where I've heard a guy zipping across the lake.
Yeah. Be safe.
Yeah, that's bad news.
All right, be safe. All right, folks. That's going to wrap things up here on day 4 with Frank on a Thursday. Make sure you check out basshone.com for the schedule next week. We probably will not have a show on Monday for a couple reasons. One, Matt's not going to be back. I'm planning on him fishing through the weekend, hopefully. Let's keep our fingers crossed. So we will probably, as of right now, not schedule a show on Monday. We'll kick off the week on Tuesday. Matt back from his performance on Oneida Lake. Talk about that. And then I still will have the schedule posted on basshone.com for next week. So once again, Frank, great stuff. I know everybody out there appreciates your take. Little night fishing today. And yeah, man, find some more pictures. That picture was epic that Ken Duke had from the book. That was awesome. Great stuff. All right, folks, please, I'm only going to say this one time this week. Make sure you subscribe to us. We are well past the 10,000 subscriber mark. More importantly, if you are listening to the podcast on iTunes, please make sure you leave us a rating and a recommendation and a review on iTunes, because it helps us out immensely. All right, Frank, man, have a good remainder of the week. We will talk to you next week. That's it. We're out of here.